So I'm having a wee problem with this pickup, but I already have a solution. So I'll quickly describe the problem. And the problem is that I realized that the mounting hole in the lug there is stripped. So that when I tried to adjust the pickup, it wasn't being adjusted, it was just sort of flopping, which is not very good. You don't want your pickups to flop. And one possible fix that some people use in this situation is to solder a nut onto the back of the pickup, but they can do that because most pickups are made from metal, whereas the back of this is made from a piece of circuit board, so that's not really an option. So I tried using epoxy glue to stick a nut on there, and it sticks really well to the nut, but it doesn't stick very well to the circuit board, so that was going to come off too easily. Problem. And I had a bit of a scratch, excuse me, had a bit of a scratch around on the metal, and basically I discovered it just feels really soft, and it's not a very good construction material for this purpose. Or at least that's the feedback that I gave to Warman when I emailed them recently, and they emailed me straight back, and they explained to me that I must have an older version, which apparently I do, and that more recently they've updated them so that there is now a brass insert in there and it's tapped to a slightly larger size. That's M3. The new ones apparently are M3.5. And that sounded a lot better. And they said that they would send me one of the new ones if I just send this back to them. So that's what I'm going to do. And thanks for coming to the party, Warman. That's how you keep customers. All right, back soon. So I'm pleased that that pickup will be replaced, but I also don't want to wait. So of course I'll use that pickup when it comes eventually, but I won't use it on this guitar. I will use it on the other coffin guitar that I'm building. I want to finish this one as soon as I can, well, sooner rather than later. So I have another pickup sitting around, and this is another Fender Atomic humbucker. There were two such humbuckers that I was going to put into a neck through a Telecaster, but I didn't just because there were some problems with that guitar. So I put one of them into one of my guitars, and that leaves one which will go into this guitar. It also actually has a stripped hole, but this one can be fairly easily fixed because it's got a steel lug on it, which I can solder a nut to, which is what I'm going to do now. So in order to do that, I've got the screw, well, the bolt, through the hole, and I have a nut on each side. And the reason that I've got the second nut sitting there is just so that the one on the end there is held nice and still so that I can solder it, which I should do now. The iron is just heating up. I need a nicer soldering iron. I'll get one soon. I've never done this before, so I'm flying a little bit blind, but it seems simple in principle. Now I guess if this is working the way it looks like it ought to, I should be able to unscrew this. And there we are. Good. Now I'll do the other one. So it may be a little bit ugly, but it's effective, and it's more or less permanent, which is what matters, because, I would like to sell this guitar. Time can really disappear into those last-minute changes, can't it? So I decided to put a chrome-coloured cover over the pickup, which looks great, I think, but it now makes the pickup slightly too wide for the cavity by just a couple of millimeters, so I'm going to route that and hope I don't, destroy the whole guitar. But I've just got a piece of an old template here which I've cut in such a way that I should be able to easily route just a couple of millimeters extra into that pocket, I think. Yes. Okay, so remember how I took out that switch because I couldn't get it to do what I wanted, and I said that I was going to be making use of that hole that I'd made for another purpose? Well, here is that other purpose. This is what's called a momentary switch. So you don't toggle it on or off, you press it, and while you're pressing it, it is on or off. You can get on or off models. This is an on one, so it's always off until you press it, and then the circuit is completed. And the two wires from here are attached to the hot wire and the earth or ground, so that when the button is pressed, blowing away some dust, the hot and the earth touch each other, and that, as you may know, kills the signal. And it does it fairly silently too. It's not like pulling the plug out or cutting a cable, meaning that what I've made here is a kill switch. You see, with guitars that have two pickups, and especially since the time of Rage Against the Machine, one technique that people can use is turn the volume, I'm pointing to a non-existent pickup, turn the volume on one pickup all the way down and turn the other one all the way up, and then use the toggle switch to switch between them so that you get the machine gun noise of the signal cutting in and out. But I can't do that because I've only got one pickup. Well, now I can do that. So I'll wire this up, and when I've strung it up, and assuming it works, I'll show you the kill switch in effect. This was the nut on this guitar. Why did I take it off, you might wonder? Well, recall that I replaced the frets with much taller ones, and that's the reason why, because the nut was pretty well set up for the frets that were already on there. That meant that the slots in the nut were just too low, and the string was buzzing out on the first fret. So I've replaced the nut, and now one at a time I'm cutting the slots. Well, first of all, I cut all the slots in, but not very deep, just as markers. And I actually, because this was a bone nut blank, I used the old nut as a template, just so I would know where to put the slots rather than measuring it out carefully. I didn't want to do that. So now one string at a time, I'm putting the strings in and then adjusting the slot until it is the right depth. pretty well. It showed me a few things. Number one, it works and it sounds good. Number two, there are a couple of spots on the fretboard where I need to do some spot leveling. Just a couple of fretted notes that had some buzz on the string above. Too much buzz. Well, any buzz is too much really, but so there's that to do. The kill switch, the kill switch works. I can't imagine there being much use for it, but you don't have to use it if you don't like it. It works. The other thing is that the neck really is too thick. Well, it isn't too thick to use or to play, but I'm fairly sure that it's going to be thicker than most players would like. It's okay up at the top end of the fretboard, but down here it kind of, let me see if I can show you. It kind of doesn't really taper off. Normally it's about that thickness there, and then it tapers off a little bit to a thinner thickness there, and then there's the volute, and it goes into the headstock. Whereas this is kind of the same thickness all the way along, which is playable. And it doesn't feel awful, but it doesn't feel right, so I'm going to fix that. And other than that, that's it. So I'll do that next. It's just the very back that needs shaving back. And what I will do, I don't have one handy, but before I finish, I'll put a ruler against that, the edge of the ruler, just to make sure that the line from here to here is straight. Not everyone carves the backs of necks the same way. I've seen lots of different methods used. My approach is always to do the rough stuff, or the really rough stuff, with the angle grinder with a flat disc, and then the slightly more precise but still somewhat rough shaping with the Shinto saw file, or saw rasp I should say, and then an electric sander to get things almost to final shape, and then hand sanding. That looks about right now, because the thickness here was already good, and now it tapers off nicely. Sanding time. Once you've sanded, you have a much greater ability to feel where the dips are. So I'm going to have to go back to the saw file here, saw rasp. I keep making that mistake. Okay, but I'll keep at that until it feels the way that I want it to. And there we are, refinished with linseed oil. I'll let that dry. The back of the body had become a little bit scratched up as well, so I sanded that again and re-oiled it. I'll apply another coat tonight. I think we're done. Well, not really. I'm still going to do that spot leveling on a couple of frets, but I won't show you that. It's just fret leveling. Other than that, I'm done. I took that guitar that I made some time ago and brought it up to a standard that I think is quite good. It certainly sounds good. Now it feels decent to play. looks really cool. I do like it. It's going to become a signature model. As you may know if you watch my other videos, I've already started on another coffin guitar, the Pall. That's a cool name for the model, isn't it? The Pall. And if you are the one who buys and plays it, you'll become a pallbearer. We'll see you next time on Monster Guitars.